Hey, it's Cyber. This is gonna be a quicker video because it's just basically one new feature. So this is, if you haven't seen the previous videos, this is Rendepth. This is my 3D image viewer. So I'm gonna show off the 2D to 3D capabilities. So this button, the 3D, is gonna load. There's a machine learning part of it. It's done in Python using the Depth Anything v2 library. So that was the whole thing. It took about, I don't know, it looks like 5 seconds or something. So the new addition, what I've added is kind of put it, not exactly a service, just kind of like a background thread that's running the Python ML part of it. So I just did that now, but now it's in 3D mode. So let me check it out 2D mode so we could start again. So I'm gonna put it back in 2D mode, go to the next image, right? And now I'm gonna press 3D, except now the model's already loaded. So when I press this, it's gonna load for a second. And that was, it was a few seconds, but it's less because now it's, it's running in the background. But the interesting part, the new part, is that now that once I'm in 3D mode here, I could just click to the next image and it's going to automatically convert it. So this image was not 3D. These are 2D images. So I could just go, here, I'll show you from the start, right? So I'm going to close this and then here. So these are images. You can see these are just, just JPEG images or whatever. So if I open this again and let's just maximize this, it might be easier to see. So this is, like I said, just a regular JPEG image. It's about 3K by 4K image, and then click 3D. It's loading the ML library and the model and everything. So that was, I mean, that didn't seem like more than like 4 or 5 seconds, but now everything's loaded and it's running in the background. So if I go to the next image, I click right here, that was like, I don't know, it felt like a second. It felt like, I don't know, maybe a little more. And you can see here, this is, look, this is this 7K by 2500 image JPEG. So I could click through and it's just basically, I mean, there's obviously some loading. I put a loading icon just, so it doesn't look like it's frozen, but I mean, this is, not quite real time, but depending on the size of the image, like this is I think a larger image. This is 16K by 5K, 5 megabyte JPEG. This is huge, and it only took a couple seconds. And if it's smaller image like this is oh, this is even 7K, but that was pretty quick. So I'll click through like pretty fast, like here. So these are, depending on the size of the image, could take 1, 2, 3 seconds, something like that. But there's no pre-computation here. So these are just stock images. Just these are a 1 megabyte JPEG. This is 5900 by 3900. So I had tested these. I mean, I tested the app with some other just random images from the internet, and they were like more like in the 1080p 1440p range, and it's practically real time. I mean, from the test, I mean, obviously it depends on the size of the image and stuff like that, but it's anywhere from maybe 100 milliseconds to like in the kind of 250 range. So not like exactly real time, but if you click a button and you wait quarter of a second or even a half a second, I mean, like that was like a half a second, like that feels pretty fast. Like you're not gonna really notice kind of a delay unless you're like clicking really fast. But if you're just kind of going through and then actually like looking at the images and stuff, like it's not that bad of a delay. I probably can't get it like much faster than this. I mean, I spent a lot of time on this, so I think at least with this library, from what I've seen, I mean, I could, this is already on kind of the real time quality that I have. Like I have 3 settings of performance, like performance and quality settings. So this is on the lowest one, which is going to be the fastest. The mid one isn't that much slower, and then I have like a high quality mode for export, not, probably not for viewing, but if you're doing, like, let's say batch conversion, or you're doing something, I don't know, professionally or something, you want like the highest quality, like that takes a little longer. But that would be more for an export, not for like an viewing experience. So I think like this right now it's pretty much like, in terms of the main features, like I would say it's like feature complete. Like I have some things to do with the UI. Like I have in the previous videos I showed a couple of these buttons, like and the other thing, it's also it's cached, like the intermediary images are saved. So if I go back now, this is not regenerating the depth and the everything. This is just loading as if it was, it's already computed, so I can go back, and this is as fast as like a normal image viewer would be with these kind of 8K images or whatever, which is, I think not bad. Like if I click here, that's felt like a second. I don't know. This is a large 1 megabyte JPEG, so these are probably what I expect, the kind of more than most people would probably have, like if they're taking with their with their phone camera, which are usually not this high resolution. This maybe they could be, but typically like the images I take with my phone, like the Google, are usually like 3K or maybe 4K at the most, depending on the settings, but they're not this large, not 6K usually. So for kind of more normal use case, where I would imagine people are either using their phone camera, or just using images from the internet, or game screenshots, whatever, that are probably more in the 2K to 4K range. It should be like, this is like 12,000 by 4,000 pixel resolution. So this is 2 megabytes, and this is huge. So I think with more like kind of common image sizes, it's gonna be much faster. I already tested that. So I would say, in terms of the main, the core, just kind of the core of this app, I think it's working. Like I have to test it, in different computers and operating systems and all that kind of stuff. But I think, in terms of, I'm pretty satisfied that this is actually working. So I guess at this point, I said I wanted to launch before the end of the month. That gives me about 2 weeks. I still feel good about that. What I'm gonna do now is just kind of finish the UI stuff, because right now there's only there's this title bar up here, these buttons, and obviously the previous next, and this 2D 3D button. But I have a bunch of other like 15-20 buttons designed, which are not all going to be functional for the kind of launch or whatever, but I'm going to have like full screen buttons, zooming. You can zoom now, but you can't drag around, so that needs a little work. But the zooming is halfway there. And then things for the managing the 3D depth, and kind of tweaking things. Right now this is on the maximum 3D settings, so there'd probably be like sliders up here where you could make the depth more or less, or kind of adjust the parallax if you want pop out, if you want it to kind of go into the screen, and then after that's only I guess the last like kind of big feature would be the exporting, because right now it's all like displaying on the screen, but the data is there. I'd have to like just save out either JPEG or PNG, or whatever format. I do have JPEG XL and AVIF and WebP imports. I haven't actually tested if I could save out these newer formats. I could definitely save out like JPEG and PNG, because I'm already doing that. I haven't tested the new like JPEG XL. Mostly, I have the AVIF, because I think it's that format Apple uses, and WebP is not really that it's used on the web, I think primarily, but it's not the most common format like for photos. online or just even on the phone or whatever. It's not big, but it is better quality. Those three are like kind of up there. So I probably want to I got to test that I can even export for those, because ideally that would be the best quality, the smallest file size, and then also obviously have JPEG and PNG, because it's what most other apps and devices kind of use. But I would like to support JPEG XL, because it's a way better format, and it's like significantly better quality and like half the file size. It's probably less than half. It's really good quality. So I'll probably kind of possibly even have that as the default, and then if people want to put older formats, like they could like choose the options. But that's kind of like what I'm thinking right now, are like kind of the last things that really like need to be done for this to be able to ship. I mean, the first version is not going to be like feature complete. I want to get something basic to just get the ball rolling, because I don't want to just be kind of messing around with this forever and then not release it. So I kind of decided that having all these different display outputs like real time, which is definitely the idea, but in terms of what I can do in 2 weeks, that's probably not realistic. So I'm just gonna have, like I said, exporting images probably to side by side, most likely, and and you could also obviously output the depth, because that's the main feature of the app. So you could output either the color plus depth, which a few devices do support that. Side by side, which most 3D devices do support side by side still, and that's probably it for launch. Like I think some of the other formats are gonna take some time, so I want to kind of push that back so I could get something out. But one of the things I've been thinking about was in terms of VR support, because a couple of people have been asking about VR headsets, and I was kind of running the numbers in terms of like how many VR headsets there are, and how many of the stereoscopic 3D displays, and there's definitely a pretty good amount of VR headsets. I mean, there's no exact numbers, but I think there's something like 20 million. Well, maybe that was as of last year, but in the tens, 20 million VR headsets, at least just the like the Quest and that kind of thing, plus all the other there's HTC and there's other companies and stuff probably sold lesser units, but there's a pretty big market there for VR. It's a stereoscopic display, even though it's a slightly it's not necessarily like a photography market, but it's a good 3D display. So I've been thinking about that, thinking about what I could do there, because I mean I really like these new glasses free stereoscopic 3D displays. They don't seem like it's a kind of huge mainstream market right now. I mean, it never was. It was always niche, and nobody like releases the exact numbers. But obviously, like VR is like pretty big. So I'm thinking in terms of kind of getting this out there, I would need VR support. And there's also, I mean, it's not just the Meta headsets. There's like the Virture has like kind of like this kind of augmented reality. There's Govis. There's obviously I think I mentioned HTC. So there's a number of headsets that can display good 3D without ghosting and everything. So I think even in terms of just kind of promotional kind of thing, it would probably make sense to do that. I mean, I wanna work on the glasses free kind of first, because that was kind of the main reason for this app. And I think the VR ecosystem they have, there's other media players and stuff like that. So this is not like going to be the only one. But I think the features will be like once they're finished will be unique in terms of, you know, just like right here, like this is just I haven't converted these images, so this is like live. Like I'm just gonna click this live, and it's one that was like not even 1 second. You heard me counting, so that this just converted, and you can see it's 3D, right? So that was like not even 1 second. So I think this, you know, this is kind of a unique kind of feature I have. So so yeah, I mean that's the plan. Just kind of get this out, just kind of as the desktop app. I mean, side by side already works in the old formats, you know. I could well, I could just put it up right now. So here's the side by side format, and then this is I think this is this is the debug. So you can see the right and left, and then, you know, we have interlaced formats and checkerboard. And then of course, you know, anaglyph, even though this is not like the old school anaglyph, this is a custom filter that I kind of assembled from some new research. So this is actually I don't want to say much better quality, but noticeably better quality than typical red cyan, like the previous method, the Dubois, which is well, actually the newer method is based on his research, but it's been you know, updated, like, you know, things updated for LCD displays, so there's different display characteristics. And then obviously the side-by-side mode, which is important for me because I have a couple of monitors, the Acer Spatial Labs, you know, View 27, Predator View 27, and then the one I got from imported from China, the ProMa. So those are two, you know, modern, you know, devices from 2024 that are very, you know, high quality, that already work, that I've been testing on. So so that I'm happy with, and then, you know, anyone that has one of those, I mean, Acer has that's just a newer monitor. I mean, Acer has a few models, and so does ProMa. So those are already working. And then, you know, the older formats, like if you have whatever it is, a 3D projector, or some of the like lesser known like AR VR headsets, like the ones that are more like media viewers, like not full on kind of VR, like they definitely support side by side. So there's already like a number of probably kind of more smaller niche devices that this will already work on, like out of the box on a desktop computer. So I'm probably just gonna move forward with that, and then once I get this out there, you know, I could spend the end of the year, December, and then, you know, see what I could get supported. Definitely the Looking Glass is one of the things that I'm pretty hyped about, because I think the 3D on the it's called the Looking Glass Go. The 3D on that, it's not just stereoscopic. It's like up to 100 views. So the basically looks like a hologram. It's definitely a step up from, I think, what people, you know, typically are expecting, or what they've seen, you know, in the movies, Avatar and those the Disney movies and stuff like that. It's definitely something else, something new. So I kind of want to probably do that first, just because it's something, you know, it's definitely more than just, you know, 3D. But then again, you know, VR, the VR headsets, the Quest is, you know, fairly popular, so there's a market there. I just, you know, like I said, the Virture, the Govis, there's a lot of, like, you know, HTC. So there's a bunch of, even though the HTC, I'll probably use OpenXR or something that works with Steam VR, you know, so once it's connected, it'll just be all the headsets. But and then the smaller ones, the smaller companies with the media viewers typically do side by side. So I think all that stuff is covered, and probably won't take more than like another month or two, let's say. But I think once I, you know, get the first version out, it'll be a lot easier to say, okay, I'm working on Looking Glass this week or 2 weeks, and then just release a patch for the Looking Glass, release a patch for, you know, the Govis headset or whatever it is. It'll be, you know, it'll be easier to just kind of release, you know, incrementally. So that's kind of the plan, and that's you basically where I'm at. Oh man, I said this was gonna be a short video. I think it's like 20 minutes already. Okay, yeah, it was not a short video. Okay, so so yeah, I mean that's basically it. But I'm pretty satisfied with the performance here. I was hoping to get it like actually like completely real time, like no delay. I think in the future down the road that's still possible, because I do want to get at possibly video, potentially games, things like that in the future, which would need like at the base like 24 30 fps and up. So it's not there yet. We're talking even with like 1080p, it's still like in the 100 to 200 milliseconds, which is not quite real time. It's fast, but it's not it's not 30 fps, it's not 60 fps. So there's still work to do there in terms of getting the performance up and that kind of thing. But I think for now this is kind of, I would say, fast enough, like especially now, like these are cached. So if you had if it wasn't a ton of images, if you had a folder like here, and then once you're going through, like now it's full speed, because all these the depth maps that were generated were all cached, so you could just kind of click through. So probably I doubt I'm probably going to get to much more optimization. Like this was the big thing, and it was actually kind of complicated because there's kind of a C++ process and a Python process, and then to kind of synchronize them I needed multiple threads. So there's actually like 3 separate threads, and it's kind of piping information back and forth and then synchronizing it. So it was actually, I mean, it wasn't like a ton of code, but I never, I mean, I've done like a little bit of like parallel processing, multiprocessing, but it was more like kind of just kind of like demos, tutorial stuff, like tests, like, oh, let's calculate pi and add simple stuff, not actually like a real app. So this was kind of a learning experience for me. It was something new, but I think I got it working, and it seems pretty solid. So yeah, that's basically it. I think from here, I'll get the rest of the UI in. I'll probably clean up some of the code. I'll test it. Right now I've been doing all the work on Linux, so I have to, test Windows. That shouldn't be a problem, but Mac is kind of a whole different thing. So, there's some work there in terms of cross-platform, and then AMD GPUs, NVIDIA GPUs. I'll test Intel because I have Intel Arc. So I want to just kind of test everything. So I still think I could do that in 2 weeks. So I'm gonna just keep moving forward with that. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and it like wasn't too nerdy or anything. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.